It having reached the hour of 5:30 p.m., I am calling the October 26th, 2021 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Zalaki? He's absent. Councilmember Knoyer?
Here.
Councilmember Wright?
Here.
Councilmember Escutia-Brayton?
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal? Councilmember Ricky?
Here.
Mayor Zwollen?
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Cindy Marks with Pray Modesto. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and it's great to see all the new faces up here too, and some who've been here for a while. And we'll pray now. Heavenly Father, I come to you humbly, asking for your grace and mercy to be upon us. I thank you for each one here, and I pray that you will guide them into all truth. You are a good, good God, and promise that if any of us lack wisdom, to come to you, and you will give to us all liberally. We ask for wisdom for the times we live in and for the guidance for each one of these city leaders. I thank you for the commitment that they have made, for the sacrifices that they've made for our city, and for all the blessings that you have to pour out upon them. You also said that if we call upon you, you will answer us and show us great and mighty things which we do not know. So we call upon you for great and mighty things this evening. I ask you for your comfort to be upon all those who've lost loved ones, and to heal their hearts. Lastly, I thank you for your bountiful rain that has cleared our air and is supplying our much-needed water for all of our valley. We thank you, Lord, for that. I praise you, too, for your goodness to us and ask you to bless each family represented here in this room tonight. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cindy, for being here this evening with us. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Tony Madrigal here.
Thank you, Tony.
No announcements, Mayor.
Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest?
I do, Mayor, on items number 16 and 17.
And Mayor, just for the record, Councilmember Wright will be recusing himself from those items. They do have potential impact on insurance companies, and given source of income for Councilmember Wright, he will be recusing himself in abundance of caution.
All right, and my understanding is you will be leaving the meeting after item 15, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, will the city attorney report out on closed session?
Yes, Mayor. No reportable action was taken at today's closed session. However, just for the record, I did announce it at the beginning of closed session. One of the cases on the closed session agenda item was put there inadvertently. It was not discussed, and that's the Cautry Brothers versus the City of Modesto that was placed there inadvertently.
Thank you very much. So we will go on to acknowledgements and presentations. And item 1 is the county COVID-19 update, and we have County Supervisor Manny Graywall with us. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager Lopez, City Attorney Sanchez, all staff. COVID update for Modesto. We were actually the third highest out of all the county cities that have vaccination, so 68% of our population has at least received one dose. It was broken down by ethnicity, because I know last time I spoke, I think via Zoom, that was one of the questions, so I am going to say with each ethnicity, with fully vaccinated and partially vaccinated. So of our Latino population, 47% are fully vaccinated with 8% partially. Caucasian population, 46% fully vaccinated, 5% partially. Asian population, 62% fully vaccinated, 7% partially. African American, 42% fully vaccinated, 6% partially. Asian, Indian, and others, 32% fully vaccinated, 6% partially. Again, the survey that for Modesto residents, 14% have vaccine hesitancy. That's in relation to 15% with the county. Much has not changed, and that's where we feel that we would have the most impact of increasing our numbers, because countywide we're seeing about 84% of our population partially vaccinated, which is encouraging, meaning within the next 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully they go back for their second shot and are fully vaccinated. One of the things that did come up at the board meeting that Dr. V gave in her presentation is the booster shots. So those are available for our 65 and over population, and I foresee in the near future that it will be readily available to everyone. And the I should have had that handout, I'll email that, but if you had Johnson & Johnson, you can take Moderna just in a lighter dose. If you had Pfizer, you could take Moderna in a lighter dose. And if you have Pfizer, obviously then one of the boosters is for Pfizer. So there is some cross-collaboration that can happen with the vaccines to add to our booster shot. Because a booster shot's nothing less than almost getting a third shot. It's just Moderna has a different dosage, and which allows for even getting a smaller dosage and still being compatible with J&J and Pfizer. So that's my COVID update for City of Modesto. Most of these numbers are City of Modesto centric, and you should be proud. Out of 9 cities, you're a close third. I think it was Patterson, Newman, and the City of Modesto.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council members? Councilmember Ricky.
We're still under a mask mandate, correct?
Yes, sir. We have not come under the 20 per thousand case rate. I think we're right around 22. This week wasn't that encouraging. We actually had more cases over the 3-day period because we count Friday, Saturday, Sunday's cases on Monday, and our Monday cases this week were higher than last week. So that is a little bit concerning. So the indoor mask mandate still stands.
Do you, I mean, I guess maybe there's no way to forecast it, but can you tell us like what direction it appears to be going? Or do you think we're getting in a better direction here?
Based on what I'm gonna quote or paraphrase a little bit of what
2 syllables.
of what Dr. V said, is this week is less encouraging than the previous week. So overall, she was a little discouraged by what our numbers and our hospitalizations have gone up over the last week.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. Question, Councilmember Madrigal.
Can you repeat the Latino population vaccination rate? My thing cut off right when you were saying that.
Yeah, 47% fully vaccinated, 8% partially vaccinated, for a total of 55% partially vaccinated.
I'm terribly sorry. It cut out right again. You said 47% partially, and what else?
47% fully vaccinated, 8% partially vaccinated, for a total of 55% partially vaccinated, with the majority being fully vaccinated.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the public? I do not see any in person or online. Any comments from the council? All right, thank you very much.
As always, thanks for the opportunity, and I hope you find it helpful. Have a great meeting.
Thank you so much. All right, item number 2, presentation by Esther Noble regarding Kids Food Drive, how the next generation is learning to serve.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Esther Noble. I wear many hats in life like yourself. Better? I am a mother I am a wife, I am a Christian, but today I stand here as an instructor to two students that you will be hearing from today. It is my privilege to introduce Zach and Faith Noble, the founders of this food drive that they will be telling you about. These young leaders are impacting the world, both their world and this community right here. It is my pleasure to introduce and ask Zach Noble to come up and tell you a little bit about it. Next slide, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Zach. So it all began with 2 kids, a cereal box, and a little red wagon. What could possibly happen? Well, let me tell you a story. One morning at the breakfast table, a 7- and a 4-year-old sat reading the back of a box of Cheerios. It read, "1 in 6 Americans are food insecure." This troubled those kids. They were concerned about the hungry families, especially the hungry children. They were so concerned, they asked their mom to print some flyers so they could pass them around their neighborhood and begin collecting food. They ran to retrieve their little red wagon. Next slide, please. They passed them out in their neighborhood. The flyers let the neighbors know they'd be back the following weekend. Please fill the bag. And that first year in 2013, those 2 kids, my sister and I, took a stand against hunger right here in America, right here in Modesto, and collected 408 pounds of food. So why start here? You do not need to cross an ocean to serve or do mission work. Our mission field is right here. But the secret to it is to look at it like this. When you begin, you see your mission field at home, and you begin to see opportunities to serve as you've never seen before. Next slide, please. There's so much more to a food drive than just collecting food. Believe it or not, we've gathered our friends and taught them who to help, how to serve, and really why. By joining forces, all the students in this food drive has begun learning some valuable skills, such as community service, compassion, and collaboration. We are advancing our communication skills, and we've learned leadership skills. Good leaders are also servants. They are the public officials, the police, the preachers, the teachers, and the parents. They lift, guide, protect, and inspire those around them. So, who are those servants on this project? Next slide, please. To give you a better idea of what the food drive looks like, let's take a look at this picture. You can see us with the arrows above them. The other students are children who have either partnered with us over the last several years or have joined this wonderful opportunity to serve where they live. Just this year, Big Valley Christian School has partnered with us and are doing this project at the school. We now have over 1,000 volunteers this year. Next slide, please. Since the beginning of the food drive, we've seen a steady growth in donations, beginning with the first 408 pounds of food. And thankfully, as the needs have increased, so have the food collections. Last year, we collected 9,002 pounds of food. We thank you for permitting us to come tonight to express our needs, ask for your help, and show that the next generation is doing something to step up and learn leadership skills in our community. This year, with the demand so high, we need more help and more donations. Now, we'd like to tell you how the food drive has evolved over the years. Next slide, please. When we first began, we started alone, just Faith and I. But we learned how to ask our friends to join us. We set some goals, held information meetings, and with pizza, obviously, taught other kids to help, and presented to businesses, schools, etc. And last year, in 2020, we collected more than ever. So why are we doing this, Faith? Next slide, please.
Thanks, Zach. Hi, I'm Faith. So why are we doing this? Well, let me ask you. What are we called to do? We're called to model love, compassion, generosity, and we do the right thing, and we are bold in our responses. Not only are we investing in our community, but we're also learning valuable skills and investing in ourselves. We're preparing the path, us, the next generation. We're learning to love and serve, and we're learning through serving our community. And we're starting right here in the city of Modesto with a food drive. So how can people help? Next slide, please. You can help in 3 ways. The first way is to start by praying. Pray for our success. The second way to help is you can also fill a bag. Each filled bag not only provides physical food, but an opportunity for spiritual food, for spiritual nourishment as well. The last way to help is a financial donation to the Modesto Gospel Mission. The Gospel Mission has a soup kitchen, but it's also an outreach program serving the elderly and veterans in our community, the fragile, those who are homebound right now. By praying for us, filling a bag, and making a monetary donation to the Modesto Gospel Mission, you are partnering with us. So why should someone do that? Next slide, please. You are serving the less fortunate, the elderly and shut-ins, and the veterans who have served us. Let's turn around and now serve them in their time of need. It's not a hand out, it's a hand up. When does all this happen? Next slide, please. Each year, Halloween weekend, this week, we leave a flyer on our neighbors' doorsteps because most people are outside during that time. The flyer shows the non-perishable needs and lets everyone know we'll be back the following week to collect the donations. What does collection day look like? Next slide, please. For the students and kids helping out, think trick-or-treating and Easter egg hunting combined. We drive around our neighborhoods looking for bags. We collect the bag and put it in our trunks. Later that day, we bring it to the collection location where the Modesto Gospel Mission picks it up with their huge truck. So what are the results? Next slide, please. What are the results from the food drive? Yes, thousands of pounds of food are collected annually, and it benefits those in need. But beyond an outreach, it's a reach within. As students, we're taking that compassion, communication, collaboration, leadership, and we're building up this future generation where we look at each other beyond skin color, beyond social economic status, and we see people created in God's image. And we begin to tear down walls so we can build up relationships. The Bible tells us in 1 Timothy 4:12, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example to the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. Ms. Mayor, council members, thank you for this opportunity to present tonight and share our project, which began 8 years ago. That's a pretty long time considering we're under 16. We're developing invaluable skills and growing into the next generation, all while positively impacting our community, the city of Modesto. I'd like to invite my mom, Mrs. Noble, back here. We are now open for questions. Mom?
Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, we'd be very happy to answer them.
All right. Any questions from council members? All right. Seeing none? Oh, did you? No question. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry, Tony. I did not see your hand. Councilmember Madrigal.
First of all, thank you for all your service for the community. I just want to ask each of you, please, after you go to college and get all your degrees, please come back to Modesto and please run for city council, run for mayor. We need you as leaders here. So if nobody's asked you, I'm going to ask you. And to that young lady, please run for president.
Thank you.
All right. Comments from the public? If you could just step to the side just for a moment. We have one comment from the public. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, City Council, I was going to put this up before they left, hopefully during my speech, but I would like to challenge every council member and you, Madam Mayor, to donate what I plan on donating tonight to the lady and her children for this food drive, $100. I'd like to see the council members match it. And I would appreciate it what these people are doing. Makes you want to cry. They're good people.
Appreciate that.
So before they leave, I'd like them to stop by my seat so I can give them the money.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public? I don't see anyone. Councilmember Madrigal, I see your hand up. Is that from the previous?
That's all. Let me take it now, sir.
Okay, any comments from council members?
Yeah, I have a comment.
All right, Councilmember Wright.
I wish every young person in Modesto was like you guys. This would be a great city, one of the best cities in the world if everyone joined you. So my hat's off to you. You're doing a great job. Modesto Gospel Mission is one of my things that I support because it does a great job in this community. And I just want to thank you for your hard work, and hopefully you can get thousands of young people involved with you, and which will make this a lot better city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here this evening for your presentation, and we wish you well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. On to item 3. A proclamation proclaiming November 1st, 2021 as Extra Mile Day in the City of Modesto. And I have a proclamation that I will read. This is proclaiming November 1st, 2021 Extra Mile Day. Modesto is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And Modesto is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And Modesto is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And the Modesto City Council acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 extra mile cities in America, and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2021. Now therefore, I, Suze Wallen, Mayor of Modesto, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2021 to be Extra Mile Day. I urge each individual in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, or world a better place. It will be dated first day of November 2021. I think that tonight is, I think we have a head start on Extra Mile Day. So thank you everyone for being here. Next, we will go to item 4, recognizing the heroic actions of Modesto area disc golfers members for putting out a rapidly growing fire at East Laloma Park on September 12th, 2021. And we will first hear from Lori Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Wallen, members of the City Council. You can go to the next slide. This picture says almost everything. This evening, I am so pleased to be here to recognize the heroic actions of the Modesto area disc golfers. On the evening of Sunday, September 12th, a group of disc golfers were finishing a twilight round at East Laloma Park. What started as a relaxing game in the park quickly turned these disc golfers into local heroes. As they finished their game, they spotted a fire in the brush on the hillside adjacent to the new playground. They immediately jumped into action by calling 911 and then rushed down the hillside into the creek to retrieve water to put out the flames. Thanks to their timely and courageous efforts, much of the riparian area of the park and the neighboring homes across the creek were saved. Our parks are one of our city's greatest assets, but the good people in our parks make all the difference. I'm pleased tonight to recognize the disc golfers, some of who you see in that. I don't even know what to say about that great picture. And they're with us tonight, and they'll be recognized by the mayor with a certificate in a few minutes, but I want to say their names, and they're sitting back here in the audience. Shane Lachine, got it right. Steve Gregg, Charlie Gregg, Alan Yakow, Bradley Fuller, Jeff Ingalls, and Joshua Murray, and the president of the Modesto area disc golfers, Jordan Gosling. We want to thank them very much for their heroic efforts. And in a minute, Mayor, you and the members of the City Council, if you'd like to come down and present the certificates. But first, I'll turn it over to Fire Chief Ernst, who has a few words to share as well.
All right, welcome.
Thank you, Lori and Mayor and Council. This is truly an amazing effort by these citizens. This is something that we are very thrilled to be here tonight to recognize their dedication and service. And I will say that's typically what a firefighter looks like when they get back to the fire station. So we typically don't take pictures like that on scene, but we definitely have that same feeling. So their efforts absolutely save valuable property and potential for even much, much worse. That area down there is a threat to the wildlife and to the community if we have a fire that gets out of control, and it's one of those areas that we're always very concerned about. So their actions stepping up immediately and risking themselves to protect the community is absolutely tremendous, and we want to honor them. So I think with that, Lori, should we welcome up?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Welcome, and should we step down now to
Yeah.
the certificates? All righty.
I'll try to do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, family that's down the line, like I said, is out there. I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, you guys want to, get them one. So did you guys like put wire in your baseball caps and just kind of come out?
Is that what you cut the fire line?
Oh, really?
That's interesting.
Is that, did you guys like say, okay, what's the game plan? You just kicked into action?
On behalf of the Modesto City Council, I commend you for assisting in putting out a rapidly growing fire at East Laloma Park on September 21st, 2021. Your heroic action serves as a wonderful example of showing concern for others and putting your best self forward in service to them. Really appreciate all of you. So Shane? Yes, Alan?
Is that you?
Oh, Jeffrey?
Yes.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Steve? There you go. Charlie? There you go. And Joshua? All right, did everybody get one? Supposed to have one? All right. Can we take a picture together with all of us? So if you all, I'm tall too, but we'll have Ginny in the front, but come on in.
Yeah, you guys get on either side of the mayor and the council.
Yeah, so you can put it up. So you cut like a fire line, that's, you like, you did a, that's interesting.
Smile.
All right, May, thank you so much.
I always carry 2 60-ounce bottles of water with me anyway.
Yeah, good for you. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It's good to hear about good things happening in our community.
All of you do, but
That's the way we see it. That's our home. One of our guys has a rake on there, he's constantly raking up garbage and stuff. That's our home.
Very cool. I love it.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Someone mentioned it's so good to hear all of the good things that are happening in our community. It certainly is. All right. Does anyone wish to speak on any item
under public comment. This is for items not on the council agenda, and everyone has 3 minutes. So please step up.
Madam Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to speak, but I'm
You're
glad
welcome.
the happy things are gone. I want to read a letter. It says, I want you to know the way you patched the sidewalk in front of my home was not appropriate. It could have been patched with cement, which I would have paid for, and including the labor by the city workers to bust out and replace it with cement. The patching was purchased by me but denied by city employees. I now have a blight condition in front of my home. This blight affects the property values of the entire neighborhood. This is just harassment and retaliation because I filed a complaint to the risk management and council about the shoddy work done by city workers. The unsafe, improper repairs performed by these city workers' employees was unsafe and dangerous. Incomplete repairs, rough and clearly not ADA compliant. The city workers failed to make work orders for the dangerous, unsafe sidewalk areas. They ground down, knew it was unsafe, and turned a blind eye to it, later causing my fall and injury. In March 2021, a childish repair was done, but still left the sidewalk unsafe and non-ADA compliant. I continued to complain, and the city also agreed it was not ADA compliant and agreed to return it to fix it. Instead, the city became retaliatory and hateful and put street asphalt instead of properly repairing it with the cement to intentionally destroy property values. This is wrong. The unsafe patch done after my injury, is proof the city workers are unsupervised and do not do safe and are doing unsafe and dangerous childish repairs, not the ADA compliance standards. I was injured due to this neglectful procedures. The grinding policy makes the sidewalks rough and unsafe trip zones, and it needs to be stopped. The neglectful work habits of the city workers makes the sidewalks rough and unsafe trip zones. It needs to be stopped. The neglect by work habits of the city workers is the cause of my highly visible, provable injury because the repair work was not done by the city employees on March 17, 2020. It was left unsafe and dangerous as deemed by the city itself. Unsightly and overly costly repairs done on the day October 15, 2021. The actions of the city to repair the unsafe repair job done by the city workers on March 17, 2021 is appreciated, but the way it was done is to harm me. It was clearly costly and has caused me to understand the city thinks its nose and turns a blind eye to the ADA laws. Inasmuch as I have now found a purpose in life, I am making many new friends who will be helping me bring the city sidewalks to total compliant ADA standards of compliance. Because I am being intentionally ignored, I have no choice. I will take that as a hint the city already knew or just doesn't care, and I will file directly with the ADA in Washington, D.C. as the City of Modesto has gotten to ignore the concerns. It's a shame. We got good council members, but evidently the money ain't going where it's supposed to be, the sidewalks. And it's just utterly disgusting that I got hurt and the city wants to claim lack of knowledge. But you ground the dang sidewalk down, you left a big hole, and you didn't make a work order. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. And now you've set me on the sights of the entire city, and I've talked to an attorney, and he just said go and give them the notices that they sent me things to pass out to every property owner, and it makes the people liable who are operating the businesses as well as the property owner, and they claim it's city property. But their property they can't have the broken sidewalks in front of their property. They're just as liable. So I hate to be like that person. I'd rather fight with the city to get it corrected and do it right. But the city doesn't care about who gets hurt, what they happen, and then they want to lie and say lack of knowledge. It's sad. And my council member will not stand up and support me.
We have your comments. Thank you very much for sharing those with us. All right, anyone else wishing to speak? I see online Kevin McClarty.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever done it on my phone, so I'm learning how to do it on how to do Zoom on my phone. Please forgive me.
Well, we
Yes,
can hear you.
good evening, Mayor and Council. Well, I wanted to talk again about the lane striping, painting of lanes and road dividers and meridians and so forth between lanes. We are really getting behind in this. And there are some major thoroughfares in Modesto on which you cannot see the lines at night. Yosemite, McHenry, Dale Road are three that come to mind right away. But there are a number of other streets in Modesto on which you cannot see the lines. On Orangeburg, in East Orangeburg, in Orangeburg, a little bit west of McHenry. I want to recommend that the city staffers who are in charge of determining what needs to be painted go out at night. You cannot base your decisions on what you see in the daytime. You have to go out at night and have your low beam headlights on and try to drive these streets and see if you can see the lanes, especially on a rainy night or a foggy night. We're coming into winter now. Something needs to be done. And I also am aware of the fact that many of these roads are state highway thoroughfares. Like McHenry Avenue was 108 and Yosemite is 132 and so on and so forth. But, you know, I would like to ask the mayor, even though these are state highway thoroughfares, you can apply political pressure. You can apply political pressure through the media, through going on talk shows and talking about this, writing articles. You can put pressure on the state to get this done. When you have press conferences, when you have your State of the City address, so on and so forth, there are a number of things that you could be doing to provide the leadership and inspire the state to come out here and do what has to be done. So even though these are state highways, I would not just put my hands up and say, well, we don't have anything to do with that, and so that's that. No, you do. Also, the city is in charge of enforcing the laws on these roads. I mean, you can apply some pressure that way and say, well, if you want us to enforce these traffic laws on these streets, you're going to have to paint these lane stripes. You know, I just want to encourage you to do what needs to be done to apply the political muscle and the manpower to get it done. Our streets are unsafe because you cannot see the lane stripes at night. And then I just thought of another street, Carpenter Road, really, really bad. Over by Blue Gum Avenue, between Blue Gum and Kansas, very dangerous in that area.
Right.
So I want to thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that a brief comment that we do, and I have requested in our Public Works Director and City Manager, we meet regularly now with Caltrans. If you will send me an email with the areas that you specifically mentioned, we will follow up on that. Thank you very much.
I will do that. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Next, I see Emerson Drake.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's nice to see Councilman Ricky inquire about the mask mandate. It's just unfortunate that the city council doesn't have the wherewithal to try to enforce it, quite honestly. We'll talk about vaccinations, but when we talk about mask mandates, all of a sudden we don't want to lose our reelected votes, or the votes we'll hope to get when we go up for reelection. It seems like we just don't care. When we hire a police chief that refuses to enforce the mandate, that makes it even worse. But it just shows where we stand with this. It was nice to see Manny actually come to a city council meeting when he wasn't playing on his phone the whole time, but that's beside the point. The last thing I'd like to ask, Madam Mayor, is I'd like to pull consent number 7. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? I don't see any online or in person. All right, so we will go on to the consent calendar. Is there any cause to pull an item? I will ask our city attorney.
And Mayor, yes, the item can be pulled for discussion by members of the public or members of the council.
All right, so why don't we pull item 7 as was requested, and we will discuss that separately. So will you please read the consent items?
Item 5, consider approving the minutes from the October 12th, 2021 council meeting. Item 6, consider approving the 2022 calendar of regularly scheduled city council and council standing committee meetings. Item 7 has been pulled from consent. Item 8, consider approving the sole source purchase of LifePak 15 monitors from Stryker Medical, Chicago, Illinois, for a total cost not to exceed $212,210. Item 9, consider approving the plans and specifications for the upgrade ATM's 2019 SAML 5059-238 project, accepting the bid and awarding a contract to Tennyson Electric Incorporated of Livermore, California, in the amount of $1,138,793, and authorizing the Director of Utilities to approve change orders up to the cumulative amount of $113,879. Item 10, consider approving of various purchases with Odessa Golden Gate Auction of Tracy, California, and Enterprise Vehicle Exchange of Modesto, California, for a 2-year term for an annual vehicle acquisition cost not to exceed $400,000, with a total cost not to exceed $800,000, split equally between the two vendors over a 2-year contract. Item 11, consider authorizing the award of bid for the purchase of hot pour crack sealant products for the Public Works Department, Streets Division, to Maxwell Products Incorporated, Salt Lake City, Utah, for a 2-year agreement with 3 one-year extension options at the sole discretion of the city for an estimated annual cost of $61,349 and a total amount not to exceed $306,745 over 5 years. Item 12, consider approving the award of bid for the purchase and delivery of chemicals for wastewater treatment to North Star Chemical, Modesto, California, and Univar Solutions of Kent, Washington, for an estimated annual amount of $275,053, and authorizing the Director of Finance or her designee to adjust the financial amounts between both providers for a total amount not to exceed $1,778,003 over 5 years, and amending the fiscal year 2021-22 wastewater operating budget in the amount of $118,053. Item 13, consider approving an increase in the Director's authority to issue change orders from 8%, $1,128,000, to 10.5%, $1,480,500 of the original construction contract price of $14,100,000 with Deed Construction Incorporated from Woodbridge, California, and accepting the Water Corporation Yard project as complete, authorizing all necessary steps to file with the county recorder, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $15,580,165 to Deed Construction Incorporated of Woodbridge, California.
Move to approve all consent items except consent item 7.
Second.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Knoyer and a second from Vice Mayor Scudia Brayton.
Do you not see my hand up, Mayor?
Pardon me? I have a question.
Yeah, I just, I felt like we probably should at least pull and discuss item number 6 because it's a pretty massive change. But if you already have a second, I guess we can do it.
Okay, we have.
Do you want me to amend it?
If you would like to amend it, then we could pull that item.
We could, okay, then I will go ahead and amend my motion to approve all items except 6 and 7.
All right, we have a motion.
Maker, the second?
Sure. I will, my second includes the amendment.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the consent calendar pulling items number 6 and 7 by Councilmember Knoyer and a second by Vice Mayor Scudia Brayton. I will take a vote. Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Knoyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmembers Madrigal?
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Scudia Brayton?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Thank you very much. So now we will discuss item number 6, which I will read. Consider approving the 2022 calendar of regularly scheduled City Council and Council Standing Committee meetings. We will have a brief report by our city manager at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. The item before you here, it just sets out the calendar for next year's council meetings and committee meetings. This is a standard item that we adopt every October to allow council members to prepare for the calendar next year.
All right, any questions from council members?
I just pulled this, Mayor, because we were reducing the number of meetings fairly dramatically. And I did a little, well, I had Kathy did a little research for me in terms of what other cities of our size do. Some do 3 meetings a month, some average 2. This would reduce, we're going to be closer on the end, on the lower end. But I just felt like we should probably not approve it on consent and just make sure that people know what we're doing. Just be transparent that this could be a really positive thing in the sense that it will reduce stack time. It could be potentially a negative thing in the sense that the public will have less opportunity to interact with us. So I think it's just something we should flag and be aware of. I'm in support of trying it because I think there's a lot of people in the building that really support the idea. I think it's a good idea potentially. But I also think we need to go with our eyes open and see, if it's a good idea for the future or not. I'm not sure of the answer yet, but I'm going to give it a shot.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members?
Yeah, Tony here. I'd like to just have us revisit this in say 3 months or so, just to see how it's going.
All right. Any other questions from council members? All right. Comments or questions from the public? Emerson Drake.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'm looking at the schedule now, and it's amazing how seldom you want to meet. I'm not sure if the public really, I wasn't aware of this. I skipped right over it, I'll be honest. I didn't think that we were going to do like 2 a month. And when it comes to some of the committee meetings, they're barely meeting at all. Are we trying to make it so the council members get more money per meeting, so to speak? That's being facetious, I apologize. But I'm really wondering why we would do this. You don't allow people to participate. If you're on Zoom, it's blocked. You can't see what's going on. When the council members try to reply to somebody on public comment, you shut them down. but now you want to meet less. I wonder, was this generated by the council members? I mean, I can't comprehend why you would want to hide behind not meeting. And how long would some of these meetings take if people have to wait? And how do you address anything in a reasonable amount of time if you're meeting so seldom? But then again, I'm just the public. I don't matter. I thank you for your time. I'll be curious to see. I think you would have tried this. I like the idea, but I would have suggested just try it for 3 months and then go back, not review it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But you're the city council members. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? All right. I don't see any at this time. Any comment from council members?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Councilmember Wright.
So it's my understanding that any time, if we feel like we need an additional city council meeting, one can be called. Is that correct? I might ask city attorney that question.
And that is correct. Special meetings can be called when needed.
So if we have, down the road, if we have some issues that come up and there's maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we have a additional council meeting or a regular scheduled one, at that time, the mayor or who can call for a special meeting?
Usually it's the mayor that calls it, or a majority of the council in writing.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Any other comments from council members?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Scooty Brayton.
I have been part of other entities, legislative bodies of sorts, where they do meet on twice a month. And it does make for a little bit longer meeting at times, not always necessary, but it really it lends itself to greater efficiency, in particular when the amount of staffing support required to bring up to speed the council members on all the agenda items. I can, having this new calendar opportunity, I think could really add to efficiencies. I don't see any negative aspect of it, and quite opposite. We will continue to provide ample opportunity for the public to participate via Zoom and in person. I don't object to it being changed. And I know that you also had some thought as
right,
to
yeah,
why.
I'd be happy to express my thoughts
Sure.
about this. Without going over every single week and the reason it was potentially changed is during vacation weeks, for instance, spring break at the school district. For instance, on National Night Out, when we encourage people in the community to be involved in their communities, and many people, even that attend these meetings, are spending that week and that time on that Tuesday night in their neighborhoods on National Night Out. So rather than having a council meeting on another night, which can be confusing, that was one of the reasons. So I could go through each one by one, and I analyzed it very closely. The thought process being that actually I feel this will encourage more public engagement because the meetings are planned and scheduled at times that would be much more conducive for people to be here and to fully participate. In March, we had 2 weeks of budget meetings this year that were all open to the public. So there's many opportunities. Our committee meetings are still meeting as regularly scheduled, just like they always have been. So there are many opportunities for the public to participate. I would never suggest something that would in any way discourage that participation. This calendar is planned to encourage that participation. So those are my remarks regarding this item. We can always look, I was the one that pushed to have it on this agenda because I know how community members plan their lives around calendars. I've always done that, and I've been proactive, and people in the community look to this ahead of time, so I really encouraged it to be in October. the later in the year that it gets, the more difficult it is for everyone to plan. So this is important planning, but we can certainly and will certainly plan additional meetings if we need them. Just as we had our 2 full-day workshops already this year. So that will happen, and I encourage anyone to let me know if that needs to happen. So thank you for bringing this to everyone's attention.
Move to approve, Mayor.
Wait,
All right, okay, Councilmember
I just have a
Canoyer?
comment. When it comes to, and I'm not sure if everybody really heard our attorney say, when it comes to doing a special a meeting, the mayor can call it, but also if in writing, you have to have the majority of the council. It has to be in writing. That's just the one thing that, I want people to know. And I don't want any more meetings than necessary. We're still having the same number of standing committee meetings plus whatever other meetings. And, I'm sure it's kind of a strange thing for us, but I'm sure that we'll adjust to it and the public will adjust to it and we'll be able to accomplish whatever we need to do, and that probably better than we did before.
Thank you for your comments. Any other council member comments? Our city attorney has a comment.
And just a quick comment, the calendar before you it's really a planning tool. It doesn't change when your regular meetings are. Your municipal code sets forth the dates of your regular meetings. It is something that could be revisited, and I think it was more for planning the year, establishing a schedule, such as when spring break happens, or when other council meetings are canceled due to being in a certain period of time, like in the summer, for example. Again, this could be revisited. It doesn't change your municipal code as to when regular meeting dates are.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Canoyer. Do I have a second?
I think it was Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we did.
I'll second it.
A motion from Councilmember Ricky, second from Vice Mayor Scudia-Brayton. We'll take a vote. Councilmember Wright?
I had. Are we going to revisit this in 3 months as I requested? Is there any objection to that?
No. That's not currently in the motion. As was mentioned,
No,
it
no,
can be.
but I'm
I have no objection to changing the motion to revisiting it in 3 months. That's fine.
I do not support that amendment to the motion.
Do I have a second for revisiting it in 3 months?
Second?
I do not have a second.
Second?
All right. So we have a motion from Councilmember Ricky and a second from Councilmember Madrigal. We'll vote. Councilmember Wright?
So there's no opportunity for discussion on that?
Sure. Vice Mayor
So
Scudia-Brayton?
what efficiencies and what value do we have at that? Right now, we can see what's being presented for the year. What's going to change in 3 months that we don't already see in advance? So it's either we do it or we don't.
And I agree.
Can someone articulate what value we have in revisiting it in 3 months?
To avoid discussion, maybe we should just take a vote on whether to revisit it in 3 months. We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Councilmember Wright?
No.
Councilmember Canoyer?
No.
Councilmember Vice Mayor Scudia-Brayton?
No.
And I am a no. So that does not pass. And I will just make one comment that as was mentioned, we can reevaluate this if we ever need meetings.
I make a motion that we accept item number 6 as written.
I second it.
All right, so I have a motion from Councilmember Wright and a second from Councilmember Canoyer to accept it as written currently. I'll take a vote. Vice Mayor Scudia-Brayton?
I have my dad sitting right here. If you wouldn't have
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Is that an aye? Aye. Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
And I am an aye, so it carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we will go to consent item number 7. Consider approving the purchase of an ambulance for the Modesto Fire Department utilizing the competitive bidding process from Houston Galveston Area Council, HGAC, with Fraser Limited, Houston, Texas, for a cost not to exceed $313,281. Funding source, American Rescue Plan Act Spending Plan, Emergency Medical Services Equipment Program, Project 101345. And we have our Fire Chief, Alan Ernst. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item, again, is we're considering the purchase of an ambulance for the fire department. We've had an ambulance in this fire department for now well over 20 years. It's definitely served its purpose. This is a vehicle that we will have many uses for. One of those uses will not be responding to 911 calls. We do not have that authority. But there are several needs in the department for this type of vehicle. One of them is the rehab and standby services at structure fires. We have been approached by both the county EMS agency and the local ambulance provider to see how we can partner in the future to help the EMS system. That vehicle could serve a purpose in the future. We've also experienced a pretty dramatic change due to COVID in the lifestyle of the fire department. This is an infectious disease control vehicle that can have many purposes in the future for a COVID response within the department and within the community. So we are asking for ARPA funds. That was approved earlier from council to upgrade our EMS equipment, and I couldn't think of a more justification for upgrading the equipment.
All right,
Be happy to
thank you.
answer any questions.
Thank you for that report. Any questions from council members? Seeing none, any comments from the public? Emerson Drape?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple questions. I understand we have one of these ambulances right now. How many times do we actually run this? How many times is it utilized in a year? I understand that the council seems to think that American Rescue Plan Act spending plan money is free money. I mean, after all, we build a clubhouse for the connected people to go play with their graffiti cars. I understand that, but it doesn't make sense to me that we're doing this. I'm glad that the ambulance that stand by that doesn't do anything need an update? Probably not. Do we need to turn around and project, because we have another item coming up later on today suggesting that, well, we can find a way to create some revenue. We have a fire crew that's already overstretched. You know, I'd like to know whether, one question I'd have with our fire department is there a vaccination mandate? Is everybody, if he's got a COVID issue, what are our issues? I mean, we should know this. We just can't say it's a drive-by, because that's what we're getting here. Just the same way with the last conversation. We have efficiencies that we can gain, but nobody can really delineate or put a number or any money amounts to these efficiencies we're getting. But we turn around and look at this, well, we need a new ambulance. Well, I'm sorry. I don't really think that we need to sit here looking at, especially when we're going to find a way. And this, I would think, is an entry level that I would suggest maybe Councilman Wright shouldn't be part of, because this is the nose under the tent of that camel. So we can turn around and maybe we can make money running for support here. Maybe they want to start. This will be the first one. We don't have enough people right now to man the equipment that we have, for a variety of reasons that the fire chief doesn't want to go into. But we're going to pretend that it's okay to spend this $313,000 because we have the money. But it's not ours. And if it's not ours, as we've heard before from another councilman that's not there this evening, well, you know, it's not out of the general fund. Why should we worry about it? Well, that was a no bid contract. Never mind. This is a competitive bidding process. I'll be happy to say it. But is this the first one that we're going to get so they can buy 5 more? So we can hire a lot more people to make these runs? I mean, come on. A standby ambulance that's just sitting there, and he acknowledges that the county is looking to say, well, maybe Modesto wants to run 15 ambulances. Let's see, that's 30 people, plus the backups is another 15, so we're talking 45 hires. I'm sorry. You people need to pay attention to what's going on. And the one phrase that just rings in my ears right now, to avoid discussion, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Any other comments from the public? Comments from council members?
Make a motion to approve number 7.
I will just make one comment in that, considering that we are in the midst of a worldwide health crisis, I'm grateful to have this support. And I've worked in the world of 911 for my entire career, adult life, and it's when you want it and you call it, you want it yesterday. So I support this. And we have a motion from Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second from Vice Mayor Scudia-Brayton. I will take a roll. Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Scudia-Brayton.
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so it carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief Ernst. All right, we will move on to council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports? None at this time. City manager comments and reports? All right, next on the agenda is hearings. Number 14, a hearing to consider amendment to Title 10 of the Modesto Municipal Code regarding mobile food facilities. Welcome. We will have a staff report.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I am Paul Liu with the Planning Division. So the city periodically updates its zoning ordinance, and we call it an omnibus amendment, where we try to keep the code current with state law, current policies, and also include any technical corrections as needed. So we took an omnibus amendment to the Planning Commission on July 12th, and the commission recommended approval, all except the provisions on mobile food facilities. They had concerns about operational requirements, and it was continued. Brought back to the commission on September 13th with clarifications and some updates, and they subsequently approved it, recommending approval to the council. Sorry. So currently, our code allows mobile food facilities in industrial zones only. The amendment will allow these operations in commercial zones too, but a permit would be required. And the permit would ensure that the requirements would be complied with. And some of the main requirements include they shall operate on private property, on all weather surface, make sure that parking, adequate parking is provided for the proposed use, as well as the existing businesses on the site. The use shall not interfere with pedestrian and circulation traffic. No permanent structure is allowed. Temporary canopies up to 120 square feet is allowed, and no more than 2 small tables and 10 chairs are also allowed. The use shall maintain a current city business license and an agreement for the use of a properly operating restroom within 200 feet. Also required would be a health permit from the County Department of Environmental Resources. So before you, the Planning Commission recommends the council adopt the ordinance addressing mobile food facilities in the city.
All right.
Questions?
Thank you very much. Questions from council members? Councilmember Ricky?
how does this affect existing mobile food businesses that are, you know, like, for example, our famous Taco Truck Road?
Yeah, they would be continued to allow to operate as they have. And since they're already operating, they will not be required to go through the permit process.
But they have permanent structures, right?
Yeah, so we would consider those legal non-conforming, and they could be allowed to continue.
But if there was going to be another Taco Truck Row in the future, that would be legal.
Well, yes, under the code it would be, so that's a good question.
That doesn't sound great to me.
Yeah, we probably have to take some consideration into that type of particular situation. I don't think that, well, some other facilities may have, taco trucks, food facilities may have some structures too. So we would consider those legal.
I mean, I don't know if it'd be taco trucks in the future, right? It could be something else. That's just the example.
All right. Any other questions by council members?
I have a question, Mayor.
All right, Vice Mayor Scudi.
And this is different than than sidewalk carts, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Sidewalk carts is in another section in the Muni Code, and that was adopted to be consistent with state law.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from the public? All right, Emerson Drake.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. You know, I'm trying to figure out exactly why we even need this. It's what we're adjusting it to. We already have our Taco Truck Row, which the council, if memory serves correctly, granted some funds relief. If I'm saying it wrong, I think hookup costs or whatever. We kind of supported that in a way. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I just saw the taco truck from a former city council member who voted on that in that immediate area. So I'm starting to wonder, are we trying to make it more difficult for other people to go forward? Are we making it so we can funnel them into one area that you've supported and as a retirement program for some of our city council members? Matter of fact, I'm wondering why quite honestly, the city attorney hasn't looked into that yet, but we don't look into many things because we like to avoid discussion. But I just don't understand what this is all about. In the future, you're trying to take away everybody's ability to do things, and yet we're going to grandfather, we're not using that term, but we're grandfathering the ones we already have. I'm just curious. The one thing I can't seem to get in this tonight, or most any nights really, is some information. Trying to find out why we're actually doing this. Is it going to make a big difference? Have we had an issue where we have to stop this? Is there some place that we have a breakout of 130 square foot awnings? Or, you know, we're limiting their ability to go somewhere because of that 200-foot range? Already Modesto's notorious for not being, the businesses are for not being friendly to allow the public to come in and use the restrooms, and that was before COVID, let alone now they've got an excuse to go, oh, no, we're concerned. Don't worry about we're not wearing a mask, but my gosh, don't use our bathrooms. I don't understand this. I don't understand the motivation for bringing it to the council, and I can't imagine the motivation for support, but no, I get surprised all the time. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public with comments? Seeing none, any comments from the council? I don't see any at this time. Can I have a motion introducing and waiving the first reading of an ordinance amending Title 10 of the Modesto Municipal Code to amend sections 10-3-101, 10-3.210, and 10-3.212 regarding mobile food facilities.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Wright. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second from Vice Mayor Scudi Brayton. We'll take a vote. Councilmember Madrigal?
Nay.
Councilmember Ricky?
Nay.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Scooty Brayton?
Aye.
And I'm aye, so it carries 4-2. Thank you very much. We will go on to item 15. Consider approving the revised downtown parklet program, and we will have a presentation from Jalen French. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Jalen French, Community and Economic Development Director. The item before you here is in regards to our parklet program. So in response to the worldwide pandemic, which was mentioned earlier today, in mid-March, city staff created our open air initiative to allow businesses more room to serve customers in a safer environment. Subsequently, August 11th, we created the parklet program to allow use of public right-of-way for dining and seating areas for restaurant and commercial businesses. So in developing a program for temporary, what we thought would be temporary structures at the time, we coordinated across the city, multiple departments, to develop standards and guidelines by which the businesses could follow to comply with this program. So, and that was temporary in nature. No one knew how long the pandemic would last, obviously. But since they have gone up, and we have 6 or 7 in the downtown area, they have been extremely popular. They've been well received, both by the businesses, by the public, and others. And so we wanted to reset the discussion, reset the guidelines, to not look at just temporary structures with a sunset on when they would have to come down, but more permanent in nature. And so what we wanted to do is go back through the approving bodies, the departments, to ensure that those departments were looking at these with a lens of permanency. And so the item here before you is that relook at the standards and guidelines by which the parklets will be approved. So this is just some general guidelines, a kind of a mix of what was in the old and the new, and I'll highlight what's new. So permitted on streets with speed limits of 25 miles an hour or less. We obviously want to make these safe. They need to have reflective signage and posts, again, for safety. This is a new standard. Parklets must meet aesthetic compatibility with surrounding areas. They should be maintained, keeping free of trash and debris and other things. Of course, compliant with ADA accessibility standards, compliant with ABC standards, alcohol. And then ultimately, the city reserves the right to deny or remove parklets should something occur that we need to get in there or under the street. And then approval of parklets are at the discretion of the city. So a couple new requirements here for the permanent. They will be annually renewed. There is no fee for that renewal. There's no fee for the permit in general, but we want to make sure the business has their necessary insurance, it's well maintained, those types of things. So it's a check-in for both the business and the city. We do require now more detailed plan submittals. Again, these will be permanent structures. And then there is a larger city review team that will be looking at these. So those are a highlight of the new standards that were created. So one thing I wanted to touch on, this is kind of a common question. Are we going to lose too much parking in the downtown with these parklets? Stemming from the rework of the J Street project, we added about 50 parking spaces. With the existing and proposed parklets, those will consume about 34 parking spaces. So the delta there, the net is 16 spaces just with the J Street project. So, there is some impact, of course, with these parklets, but overall we have more parking than we had before. So staff's recommendation, approve the downtown parklet program to allow use in the right-of-way in a more permanent nature in accordance with the guidelines. And I would be happy to answer any questions the council or the public may have.
Thank you. Any questions from council members? I do not see any. Any comments from the public? Any comments from council members?
I'd like to move approval to indicate.
All right, thank you. We have a motion from Councilmember Madrigal. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, and this is a resolution approving the downtown parklet program to allow the use of parklets in the public right-of-way in accordance with parklet guidance and other conditions as determined necessary by the city manager. And I will now take a vote. Vice Mayor Escudero-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer? Aye. Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Thank you very much, Jalen.
Thank
Passes
you.
7-0. All right. We will excuse Councilmember Wright, and we will go on to item 16. Consider approving a service agreement with Fire Recovery USA to recover insurance mitigation rates from emergency services for a one-year term with a one-year extension option rendered by the Modesto Fire Department. And we have Chief Ernst with us this evening. Welcome again.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. And just to be clear, this presentation will cover items 16 and 17, and then both will have to be voted on individually at the end. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. This is discussing two different programs that are very similar from Fire Recovery USA and the Emergency Medical First Responder Fee. So a little bit of background, the city continues to struggle with our rising costs that are outpacing our traditional revenue generation. And that does create a challenge for delivering the services to our community that they deserve and expect. We have been evaluating these programs for several years as we've navigated the budget processes and always looking to see how we could be as efficient as possible. Both programs involve billing insurance companies, auto health, homeowners, and et cetera, directly for fees that are already built into policies. And I'll go into a little more detail on that here soon. And again, we bill directly to the insurance companies when we have the information, and or we will send the bill to the individual with clear instructions to pass through to their insurance. So I'm going to talk about cost recovery program first. This involves specific incident types, and we went through and selected the incident types that have the highest rate of collection. And these are predetermined by insurance companies as reasonable costs for providing services for fire departments. So the incident types that we are proposing are the motor vehicle accidents with fluids on the ground, motor vehicle accidents with no fluids, vehicle fires, fires such as structure fires, special rescues, and hazardous materials, hazardous conditions. So the insurance recovery rates for the cost recovery program, these are considered and agreed upon annually by the insurance industry as I stated before, the usual, customary, reasonable cost for providing service by fire departments across the country. These rates are considered recoverable through a process called emergency response cost recovery, and that the insurance companies reimburse fire departments for costs incurred during the emergency services at the incident. So this method of collecting the emergency response recovery mitigation has been used for decades in the fire service. The vendor we have chosen, Fire Recovery USA, works up and down throughout the state and throughout the country, and will only pursue insurance claims relative to those call types that I mentioned before. We are also asking the city to adopt a compassionate billing method where the vendor or the city will not begin collections or litigation against any person or insurance carrier if the fee or a portion of the fee is not paid in full. This program provides an avenue to capture reasonable costs from the insurance industry while also providing a recovery mechanism for out-of-area individuals that have benefited from local service. And I think this is another point that I want to kind of highlight, that we run a lot of calls, not only throughout the city, but along the highway, and the freeway system where they're not residents of Modesto that we provide services to, and this is a way to recover our costs for those. So through this process, again, there is no direct charge with this vendor for Modesto. This vendor shares the revenues from the collections, so it's a way that they recover their costs for the collections. And they receive 22% of their overall recovery, while the city gets 78%. And so that means they only receive their revenue on the fees that we collect. The Fire Recovery USA is the largest provider of fire department-specific billing in California with over 100 fire departments. And it's used locally here with the Oakdale Fire Protection District, which we have administered since we've had the contracted service for the past 2 years, Stanislaus Consolidated Fire, and Salida. So the fiscal impact that we anticipate is through this emergency incident billing agreement, based on the call volume that we have for those specific calls, we're expecting a return of approximately $650,000 annually. This program is expected to affect our revenue in a positive manner as demands continue to rise. And the anticipated revenue source was included in the budget for fiscal year 21-22. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the first responder fee, which is item number 17, and this is so where we provide both fire suppression and pre-hospital emergency medical services to our community. Private insurance companies typically pay fees for what they call pre-hospital incident stabilization, and that's because the field evaluation and the services that we provide help reduce emergency room visits and improve patient outcomes in an already overwhelmed medical care system. And the rationale for this fee, again, is that local government fire department services have expanded well beyond the traditional fire suppression activities only, and this is generally supported by just traditional funding sources. These fees are permitted under Section 13916 of the California Health and Safety Code. And again, like the cost recovery, there are several cities and special districts within Northern California that have also adopted this practice. Some that are close are Dixon, Cosumnes, Fairfield, Sacramento, Benicia, and Vallejo. And they've used these to help offset their operational costs. Again, we're asking for a compassionate billing approach, like the cost recovery, which means that the city would only accept payment from primary or secondary insurance companies as the full payment for the first responder fee obligation. We would not pursue any further collections if one of those insurance companies does not pay that. And just so some data, the numbers through to 2020, again, 77% of our calls that we run, roughly 23,000, were those pre-hospital emergency medical service calls. And the development of the first responder fee will help offset the rising cost of services and enable the fire department to continue to provide the level of service that our community expects and deserves. So what we are proposing is a first responder fee of $360 to patients' insurance companies if that patient is medically evaluated and treated by fire staff on a first responding unit. That fee has been calculated as equal to the cost or less than for the fire department performing those services. Utilizing the current payer mix with the local demographics that we have in this county and the billable rate, these projections can be estimated. And so again, we delivered service to 23,000 incidents that would be billable calls. The collection rate of 14% of those 23,000 would relate to about $1.1 million. And then the fee for this billing company, they bill differently. They bill $12.50 per claim. That is estimated around $290,000 for an anticipated net revenue of $879,000. So these are some frequently asked questions, and we pulled these not only from questions that we've received in the community, what we received in other jurisdictions. One of them was City of Vallejo that we looked at as well. And so I just wanted to put these up here to kind of help explain some of the questions that we get in this, and we've kind of answered them in the presentation. But the first question, am I personally responsible for paying the first responder fee? And the answer is no. These fees, again, will be billed directly to these insurance companies. And if it's necessary, they may have to provide insurance information or pass that through, but we will not be going to the individual and asking for these fees. And do these impact our current contracting agencies that we contract services for? That answer is no. These programs only apply, if approved, to the City of Modesto under this action. As I stated before, the Oakdale Fire District does have this, the cost recovery program that we administer through the contract service. But the City of Ceres and City of Oakdale will not be subject to these. The question out of Vallejo was if someone has Medicare or Medicaid, do they pay the first responder fee? And the answer was no, only fees paid by private insurance are collected through that program, which would be similar to this program. And then what if I don't have medical insurance? Again, there's no out-of-pocket expense for patients receiving services from the fire department, even if the patient is uninsured. They may receive an invoice. All we ask them is contact us and give them the situation, and then that will be no further collections. And then obviously there's concern, will these programs raise insurance rates? Again, these fees and services are already included in insurance policies. That's what we're able to bill for as allowable expenses, and there's been no correlation that we have found or anybody else that's run this program to higher insurance rates due to these programs. So the recommendations is approve both resolutions in items 16 and 17, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. We will first consider item number 16. If there are any questions from council members regarding the recovery of insurance mitigation rates. I see no questions from council members. Any comments from the public? Emerson Drake.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, I just don't understand how we're supposed to accept the report that he just gave us. You know, if you turn around and ask me who pays my insurance bill, I say I do. And if you ask my insurance company, if I bill them for something, are they going to raise my rates? They're going to tell me yes. But he suggests that that's not the case at all. I suggest to you that's delusional thinking. Delusional. You know, I can't believe we don't have, first of all, I didn't even know about this until just a couple of days ago. But I can't believe there's not an insurance company out there, but they know what they'll do. They'll raise your rates, your automotive, your health, any of it, your homeowners. You make claims, they raise your rates. You make a couple claims, you can lose your insurance, and now they're going to jack it higher. And you people sit up there on the council and act like this isn't going to happen. I can't believe you even suggest that. I can't believe he just suggested that. I guarantee that if we pull up a list of people that have been having to pay this with their insurance companies, if we contact them, and especially if they've had a couple of them, they will tell us that their rates went up. Because when you have an incident that costs an insurance company money, your rates go up. A couple of them, you can get canceled. But we're going to suggest that that's not the case? Somebody's been taking those green vacations that the city's pushing right now. I don't understand it. How can you consider, this is a tax. I pay for the fire department. I pay for that with my city taxes. And you're going to tell me that there's going to be an extra billing on top of it? And you're going to sit there and expect us to take it and say, oh yeah, you're right. Talk to somebody that's in insurance. Now, some of them will say, hey, no problem, because we get to jack your rates. Others will go, yes, your rates will go up if you use your insurance. Talk to your homeowners. They'll tell you. Talk to your car insurance. They will tell you. But yet here you are suggesting that's not the case whatsoever. That everything will be happy, you know, hunky-dory, no problems. We'll pay those bills, don't worry about it. I don't know any insurance company that's ever said that in my entire life. And apparently, at least, we're not responsible for the deductibles, because many people on their homeowners or their cars have gone to a $1,000 deductible to save a little money. I'm sorry. You people are delusional. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Next, we have Mike Rivera.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm with Fire Recovery USA, and I just wanted to respond, just let you know that the gentleman was incorrect. By California state insurance law, your insurance policy cannot increase due to bills going against a claim. You may have a rise in your insurance because you got in an accident, but it has nothing to do with an additional bill for the services you provide. It just can't happen by insurance law, and it doesn't. We've been doing this for close to 20 years in 42 states, and it just can't happen. So he's incorrect. Again, it may go up because you got in 3 accidents this year, but it has nothing to do with the amount of the claim. Whether it's a $100 claim or a $10,000 claim, cannot affect your insurance bill.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, any comments from the council? Councilmember Ricky?
I just appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking here on the fire department's part. I think this is a good idea, and this is the kind of, it's innovative thinking that we need to keep doing so that we can try to keep up with our escalating expenses. So, well done.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Ricky. Any other comments? Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve recommendation of the first item.
All right, so this is a resolution approving a service agreement with Fire Recovery USA to recover insurance mitigation rates from emergency services for a 1-year term with a 1-year extension option rendered by the Modesto Fire Department and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreement. And we have a motion from Vice Mayor Escudia-Brayton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Canoyer. Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye. So the motion passes 4. Sorry, what did I do? Excuse me.
You just didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want me to do
Vice Mayor Escudia-Brayton, for your vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
All right, I thought I did that, but it's been a lot of votes tonight, so
I don't think you called Tony, did you?
excuse me for that. It carries
Councilmember Madrigal?
4-0, and I do not see Councilmember Madrigal on the call. We have 4 votes, so it carries. Thank you very much. Now we will go to discuss if there's any questions regarding item 17, which is a resolution establishing a first responder fee for pre-hospital emergency medical services, approving a service agreement with Whitman Enterprises, LLC, for a 1-year term, with a 1-year extension option for the implementation of a first responder fee for pre-hospital emergency medical services rendered by the Modesto Fire Department and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreement. Do we have any questions from council members? Seeing none, any comments from the public? Emerson Drake? Emerson Drake, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you very much.
That's all right. You're welcome.
Well, anyway, I seriously suggest that it's going to cost people money. Talk about auto insurance, talk about your homeowners, talk about your medical. There's going to be people paying. It's going to cost us money. Just because they show up, they take your blood pressure, it's going to cost, and they don't say exactly how much. They don't suggest it at all, I don't think. At least I didn't spot it. He talked about, anyway. I can't believe you're trying to pull this off. I think the public's gonna get upset with you. I think they're gonna get really upset. You've been trying to horn in on the ambulance fees for years. The county's been trying to figure out a way. The ambulance companies, they just blow them off. I'm sorry. I cannot believe what you're doing. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Any other comments from the public? I do not see anyone in person or online. Any comments from council members? Seeing none, do I have a motion to establish this resolution as described?
Move to approve.
All right, motion by Councilmember Canoyer,
Second.
second by Councilmember Ricky. Now I will take a vote. Vice Mayor Scooty Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
And I am an aye, so it carries unanimously for those that are here, present 4-0. Thank you very much. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? All right, seeing none, I am calling this meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.